Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Swanton Village Trustees on September 25th, 2023. We have a full agenda this evening. My name is Chris Leach. I'm filling in for Neil Spear, our vacationing village president. He will be back for our next meeting. We have no fear of that. I'd like to start this evening by asking everyone to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I always enjoy that. We have an agenda review. Does anything need to be added or, okay, Diane?
2 additional water allocation requests.
Okay, can we do that, under,
Do it 7, 8, and then we'll do it under 8. Just
okay,
say
we'll do it
water
under 8.
commissioners.
You say there's +2?
Yep, +2.
Any other agenda review items? Hearing none, we'll move along. Public comment. Bob, you have anything tonight? No, not. Here later.
I'm good.
Gotcha, okay.
I worked too many hours to film that. It's been 62 and a half hours last week.
Oh, geez. Item number 5, approve and accept the minutes of Monday, September 11th, 2023 as presented. You gentlemen had a chance to read them? I have.
Yep.
Yes. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. So moved.
I'll second.
And seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed. Item 6, approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, September 22nd. Have you had a chance to review these? Yes, sir.
Yep.
Do we have any questions? Or let's have a motion first. I so moved.
And I'll second.
Do we have any discussion?
No, sir.
No, not
Clear cut.
All in favor of the warrants?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Warrants pass. Number 7, request to hook onto the village water system at 116 Middle Road. Bobby DeRoche.
I make the motion that we go into water commissioners at 7:04.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Mr. Manager, do we have any hookup, or we were gonna do some investigation?
This was, I think we had a discussion that was fairly comprehensive, I would say. I believe that the 3 of you wanted to take it under advisement. From the village's point of view, we spoke to Dean, we know the limitations on the system. We are holding the downstream leak, we're gonna hold them accountable to fix that on the private line. I think essentially we understand from our point of view, from Dean as a public works supervisor and myself as a village manager, that Bob's got some extenuating circumstances, and I think that it makes sense that if you support, we approve, but we recognize that we're at our limit on this line until we can do an upgrade.
Okay. Any discussion?
No discussion, but I will make the motion.
To
Uh,
approve. To approve.
Yes. I will make the motion that we approve the water line hookup at,
116
116,
Middle Road.
Middle Road, sorry, I was thinking county. And I would like to add that, that would come right off the water line, there would be no tap from another water line into that. So, be direct, you know, if it's under the road or whatever, that's what it is, so. But I make that motion that we approve it.
I'll second the motion.
And I would go along with that as well.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're all
Thank you.
set?
I did speak with Mr. Sheets, and I do know Dean's wishes, and I have spoken with Kevin Jordan, he was at my house Sunday. The plan is to go straight across my yard and straight under the road without digging up the road. Because that's just not an option, that way it's done right, and then get a hold of Dean and then shut the main off and then tap into it and, you know, pack it all back in with stone the way things need to be done and
Yep.
done right.
Good. We're
Very
happy
good.
to help.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it, you're welcome. Hey, have a wonderful evening, I got my phone.
Probably I'll call you when I have the invoices for you,
Thank you very much.
okay? Thanks.
And I would add that we recognize that there are issues with that line, and we will keep it on our to-watch list.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just an awareness if there's a lot of
absolutely.
future demands.
Yep.
But it is
So-
high on our prioritized list for replacement middle road water line for
Okay.
sure.
Perfect.
And again, this gentleman has a special needs person that lives in the home, and that helped us make a decision, I believe. Okay. Number 8, wastewater allocation request for 44 North River Street, and I believe there's 2 additional people.
After
Same,
this one.
not the same location.
No, well, 2 separate requests after this.
Okay,
One handful.
so we're gonna vote on each one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we certainly have capability, and the person is aware of all
She's aware of
fees
all
and-
the fees, she's changing her single-family home to a duplex and adding 2 additional bedrooms. So,
I see.
basically, for zoning, they want a current water and wastewater allocation on file.
Okay,
I assume.
She already has our water,
She already has it,
Yeah.
right?
this
Oh,
is
that's
because
it.
she's adding the additional bedrooms.
Interesting. I'll make a motion that we approve the request.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that one's approved. How about number 2?
Okay, so, we had given permission for a small private water line on McQuam Shore back in 2019, for Tyler Mumley, and Reggie had allowed 6 connections to that. It's a 2-inch water line, it's kinda like in a little dead-end area. And apparently the curb stops were already placed, like when they did the excavation, so one of the residents that lives at 412 McQuam Shore would like a water allocation for 400 gallons per day for her 2-bedroom, 1-bath seasonal camp. She's aware of the connection fee and the water meter fee.
No issues with payment?
No, we talked to Dean, it's perfectly capable of handling there's no
So-
pressure issues.
It's not a big line.
Huh?
It's off a big line.
2-inch. Yeah, so he said it was
No,
Perfectly
no
capable.
concerns at all.
no
Okay.
concerns.
Okay,
I'll move that we approve that one.
I second it.
Okay,
Okay,
and then we have,
You gotta vote on this.
no further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
okay,
Number 2 is passed. How about the third
yeah,
one?
we'll go with 8B. So then the resident who lives at 416 McQuam,
Oh, a neighbor.
yep, wants to connect to, this is a 2-bedroom, single-family, year-round home. Just
And-
wants to get off that lake water and get good village water.
For drinking.
Same deal?
Same deal,
Same
same
lines,
line.
yep.
And so I created a file, we now have record of everyone who's on that line, there's 1 remaining connection.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve this request as well.
Seconded?
No more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Okay.
I request to move out of water commissioners.
So moved?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Number 9, village police update. Chief Matt Sullivan. Matt?
Alright, so in front of you, you'll find 2 packets, one with the statistics for the village and the other for all of the police statistics for the month of August. In looking, we'll start with the village. Officers responded to 145 incidents. Out of those 145 incidents, there were 20 traffic stops. Out of those 20 traffic stops, 5 tickets were issued, there were 19 warnings and 1 arrest associated with traffic stops. There were 11 arrest charges for the month, and that represents 9 individuals. If we look at our 10 most common call types, traffic stops was number 1 with 20, property home watches were 20, 12 suspicious incidents, 10 directed patrols, 10 community outreach, 9 citizen assists, 7 motor vehicle complaints, 6 agency assists, 5 foot patrols, and 4 search warrants. Looking at the combined data for all of police activity for the month of August, there were 308 incidents. Out of those 308 incidents, there were 64 traffic stops. There were 16 tickets issued and 61 warnings and 4 arrests associated with the traffic stops. There were 26 arrest charges and 16, which represents 16 individuals being arrested. There, again, looking at the 10 most common incident types, 64 traffic stops was the number 1, 43 directed patrols, 28 property watches, 21 agency assists, 21 suspicious persons, 13 community outreach, 12 citizen assists, 9 motor vehicle complaints, 5 juvenile problems, and 5 foot patrols. A few other things I wanted to mention is that I personally performed, because there was some mention of trucks speeding coming through the Merchants Row area. So on August 1st, I was out there for an hour to take a sample. I measured about 50 trucks, both TT units and larger box trucks. And the highest speed that I measured was 24 miles per hour. And so I think that it's somewhat an issue of, and quite frankly, myself included, and getting vehicles coming both ways, the way I was oriented using a LiDAR unit. Some of the vehicles I thought, boy, they're going fast, and when I picked it up, it was the low 20s or high teens, because I think they're so large coming through that area and the way the roadway jogs there, they just give the appearance of moving quickly. But it's interesting as far as the sheer volume of large trucks that traverse that area. There's going to be quite a few over the course of 24 hours.
So that was about 50 trucks?
In an hour, only an hour. I sat there for an hour. So obviously that'll vary. It's just a small sample size, right? But,
Yeah, that's great.
but we also had the speed trailer out on South River, and this is attached at the back of your packet for both the village and the town. You'll see the data from the speed trailer attached there on the second to last page for South River. I thought the data set was really pretty encouraging in that there were 8,599 measurements taken, and out of 8,599 measurements, only 307 vehicles were 11 plus miles per hour over the limit, and including some outliers that were very fast, but that represents only 3.6% of the total data set. And then if we go to 20 plus miles per hour over the limit, there were only 35 vehicles, which represents 0.41% or less than half a percentage of the vehicles that were captured. So that's pretty good. I mean, there are some outliers with some pretty extreme speeds. There was one caught at 81 to 90 miles per hour.
You're kidding?
Looking at the data set.
No, you're kidding.
So which, who knows exactly what that was, but I would have to look. The speed trailer is a great tool to measure speeds and get an idea for what's going on in a certain area, and it gives you times of day and that sort of thing, so you can try to focus if there's a specific issue that jumps out with the data set. And then within 10 miles per hour or lower of the speed limit, which is generally a good gauge for officers taking enforcement action, there were out of the 8,599 vehicles, there were 8,292, which represents 96.4% of the data set. So that's pretty good. We had 96.4% of the vehicles traveling within 10 miles per hour of the speed limit. We also did the same thing on Robin Hood, because we had complaints on Robin Hood about speed. So the trailer was measuring vehicles coming off of First Street, heading towards Grand Avenue on Robin Hood. On that data set, we measured 8,725 vehicles.
Wow, that's a lot.
There again, the data was fairly encouraging that if we're looking at 11 miles per hour plus over the speed limit, out of that 8,725, there were 422 vehicles, which represents 4.8% of the data. And then looking at the more extreme speeds of 20 plus over the limit, it captured 46 vehicles, which was about 0.5% of the data set. And then looking at vehicles within 10 miles per hour of the speed limit or below, there were 8,303 vehicles, or 95.2% of the 8,725 vehicles measured. So I felt that was fairly encouraging as far as the speeds in both those areas.
This is about 7 days or so.
Yes, it shows like, for example, Robin Hood, the start date was August 22nd and the end date was August 29th.
It's about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to touch on was our continuing drug work. The officers have been doing a great job continuing to address the drug activity locally and even just outside our jurisdiction. Thankfully, we've chased most of it out of the village proper and the town for the most part currently, although it will continue, right, and we'll address each issue as we become aware of it. But we have pushed a lot of it out to the point where we ended up doing a search warrant in Alberg just over the bridge inside of Alberg, which we'll see where that one lands, but we ended up with a pretty good seizure of, I want to say, more than 25 grams of cocaine in that warrant. The other thing that I would say is we posted a general update as far as all of our drug enforcement activity from the beginning of 2022 on our Facebook page. So that is out there for the public to see. We also, I finally have, thanks to the new website that the village has, a police blotter up. So if residents want to go to our page, essentially within the village page, they can find all of police activity from the beginning of 2022. I have it all the way through the end of August, month by month, so they can go and look at the call types, the incidents we've responded to, and where these incidents occurred, generally. There's no actual street addresses, but it shows the node that we responded to. So that is up. One of the things that I wanted to do is get that police blotter up and running, and the new website has allowed me to do that. I've also met recently with our partners at ATF, DEA, and HSI, and we're looking to leverage those relationships as a force multiplier. And as far as drug enforcement goes, we're going to continue to try to push some of these cases to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Now, I also had multiple meetings with our new state's attorney, new interim state's attorney, who I'm familiar with when he was brand new state's attorney in Chittenden County. I think he'll be a great asset for the Franklin County State's Attorney's Office also. He's very supportive of law enforcement generally, so I think it'll be a good relationship for us.
That helps.
That's all I have.
So there was no real spikes or red flags here, big changes?
No, I mean, I think
crime
we've,
or incidences other than the automobile stuff?
yeah, I mean, the traffic issues are consistent, and also the drug issues are fairly consistent, but again, we've thankfully displaced it to some degree outside of the village. But we work closely with other municipalities as far as St. Albans, and we do have a regular law enforcement meeting with local partners, so we're sharing information. And we're gonna, again, in our post, I would much rather see people get the help that they need if they suffer from substance use disorder, and we certainly offer them. We will try to link them with services, with wraparound services, more so than what we can provide, because our focus is law enforcement. But I would much rather see them make that choice. But if they do, the typical scenario is people from out of state are being housed, they're bringing up large quantities of drugs, and they're distributing them out of local individuals' homes. And if that continues, we will take an aggressive law enforcement approach to those issues. And again, we will try to leverage our federal partnerships to hopefully push some of those cases into federal court.
Border issues at all? At all an issue?
There are a lot of border issues, so
You think that's
Border
spiked?
Patrol is, for them, it's continuing. They are quite frankly overwhelmed to a large degree.
Even here.
Yeah, the Swanton sector, my understanding, is the busiest sector on the northern border, as far as issues currently. So you don't hear about it in the news. We see a lot of things about the southern border and the issues there, which there are a huge number of issues down there. But also up here, there are a lot of people from all over the world that are crossing the northern border on a regular basis, and being apprehended by Border Patrol. But quite frankly, I can tell you that listening to the radio, especially on the Champlain side of the lake,
Yeah.
they're completely overrun. They'll have 15 sometimes in custody, and they have to deal with all those people they have in custody, and they'll get alerts that more people are crossing illegally, and they just have to label them as gotaways because they just simply don't have the capacity to address the issue. So we really have no really good idea as to the numbers of people that are crossing the northern border, just because of the gotaways. But
Getting pretty close to home.
It is. Wow. I had one question from previous month's information. I was reviewing it and I made a note to ask if you have any nuisance calls, like, I noticed Bro Park was listed a great deal in the previous month's report. And I hope that's gone away, whatever it is.
I think it has. So we had one address in particular in Borough Park that was an issue. My understanding is the resident of that address has since moved or been put in a different situation.
That's
And
probably
so
good for
that issue has been alleviated.
Yeah. Do you have nuisance things like that now, or persistent?
Not that really jumps out at me. Things will flare up, obviously depending on people's circumstances, and we try to address that to the best of our ability, but nothing that I can think of off the top of my head.
Isolated things.
Yes.
And I've had a couple of citizens pull me aside and they just wanted to express their thanks for the foot patrols. It means a lot to them to see the guys out and ladies out, and just, they wanted me to extend their thanks to you guys. So,
We appreciate it.
yeah, no, it's huge. They're older folks and they appreciate seeing someone just walking,
Yeah.
So, but thank you.
Yeah, we've been doing, although it's this month and not August, we've been doing a great job. Officer Cooper's on day shift now, so he's been spending some time in the early mornings over at the elementary school.
Yep.
And building those relationships also. So the guys are doing a great job as
Yep.
far as trying to really engage in community outreach and making those connections with the community. Good.
That's all I got.
Thanks.
Terrific. Matt, thank you very much, very thorough. Number 10, approve the Village of Swanton closing the Bank of America credit card account.
So a few months ago, we got permission from you guys to open up a new credit card account with M&T Bank. And now all of the pending charges that were on the Bank of America cards have all been paid. And I've canceled all the credit cards that were associated with that account. But they needed an actual letter signed by the trustees authorizing them to actually physically close the account itself. So
Interesting.
we've closed all the cards, but it's just a matter of closing that account.
Do we have that letter tonight?
I gave it to
Yep,
Diane.
I have it.
I'll make
So
the
we'll
motion that we-
sign that for the night's over, okay?
I'll make the motion that we sign the letter to close the Bank of America credit card account.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion and a second. Can you vote on the matter?
Aye.
Sounds like a formality.
Yeah, I'm in favor as well. Motion passed. So we'll make sure we sign the letter tonight. Number 11, wastewater treatment plant update open house.
So we talked about this at length at the last meeting, but formalized, we got together and identified dates for open houses. As you know, we're gonna come up for a bond vote of roughly $8 million. Those details will be provided to you in more detail in the very near future, but that's a fairly firm ballpark at this point. And we're less than 2 months away from bond vote day. So Saturday, October 14th, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Thursday, October 19th, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m., all held at our wastewater treatment facility plant, not here, at the plant itself, 33 North Street. It'll be representatives from the village, of course, including Jason and Dylan from wastewater, myself, Aldrich and Elliott, and it won't be a PowerPoint presentation, it'll be a tour and a description on site about what we're trying to accomplish. And then the further breakdown, and we'll talk about this, we need to adjust some of our meetings to meet the timeline for bond requirements. But we want to do a public forum here on Monday, October 30th. That's when we'll have a detailed presentation to include fiscal impact to our voters, from myself, from Lynn, from Aldrich and Elliott, and the entire crew. So that leads us up to the bond vote for November 7th. Assisting us in all of this is that UVM intern that I talked about. So Corey Parent's class assigned us a intern. She's a junior, very dynamic, is gonna be responsible for creating a one-pager communications plan and social media outreach for us for all 3 of those dates. So that's kind of where we're at with wastewater at this
The
point.
public forum on October 30th, that's at 7 p.m.
Correct,
here.
yes.
That'll be our informational meeting
Yep.
that's required for the bond vote.
So
Right.
normally we would meet, October 9th and 23rd.
Yep.
But because of this vote, we need to meet on Monday, October 2nd, and then on the 30th have the public hearing.
Well, you'll be sending us a meeting notice.
Yeah, so
Couple of them,
we,
yes.
we have to change
Monday,
it.
October 2nd?
October 2nd.
Next week,
Okay,
We have to be within
That's a week
the
from,
40 to 30 days
gotcha, okay.
to approve
Yep,
the warning.
gotcha, okay.
And
Yep.
then the 30th, public hearing has to be within 10 days of the vote.
and October 9th was a Columbus Day conflict
Right.
anyway, so.
The public needs to know our wastewater treatment plant's kind of unique. There's not another one like it in the state. It was I remember sort of going through the engineering of it way back when. So it is interesting, it is effective, and it does certainly need updating, but it's worked well for Swanton all these years, and it'll work in the future.
Yeah, it does not increase capacity. We were asked that today. Trustee LeBombard, myself, and Jason went out today and spent an hour with Richard Copperthwaite and spent about 25 minutes talking about this very issue. We'll post some stuff on our social media. If people are not available on these dates and they want to go down at any point, they're gonna have my contact information. They can call the office. We will do individual tours if we have to. I think it's very valuable, you're correct, that they get a chance to actually see how it works, because trying to articulate that just with words, coming from my background of knowing nothing about this, but now diving into it, you gotta see it to understand it.
It's very unique.
Yeah.
And what we put back in the river is actually better quality than what's in the river.
oh, I think that's true.
Normally.
It's true.
I know that's true.
Can you repeat
Based
the
on the water we've
2
been
open
having.
house dates, please?
Yep, Saturday, October 14th at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Yep.
Thursday, the 19th at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And again, we'll have that on Facebook, we'll have that on social media. We talked about this at the last meeting and you're seeing it. So Lynn posted a bunch of stuff today about hydro, the shutdown, reposted some stuff that the chief posted about the drug raids. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. Remember, we talked about the need, we got a great team to do tremendous amount of great work. We have to tell people and articulate that great work.
And people would actually show up at the water treatment plant.
Correct.
Not here, but there.
Correct. They'll have the address. Of course, they'll be redirected if they show up here in person on the 19th, because we'll be open. If they show up on Saturday the 14th here, perhaps we can make a note, we'll throw a sign on the door. But they'll have the address.
Sounds like
for
a
the
plan,
GPS.
that's an important step forward for our water treatment. Okay. No action required here, that's good information. Number 12, the village manager's update.
So we talked about the first one, Diane hit that, again, we're gonna move the meetings, trustee meetings to the 2nd and the 30th. So those will be our upcoming trustee meeting dates, and we'll get those, updates to you. We talked about wastewater, the public safety proposal, where our construction manager, Rearc, and Weeman Lampier are still, going through cost estimates, so we still do not have a cost estimate. We will have shortly. I anticipate, we meet Thursday, probably within 2 to 4 weeks, we should have some costs where we can start to have that conversation. Then start to have the open houses and the discussion about that, at least to start the tours in the warmer weather, so people can walk around when they're not absolutely freezing. So that's a ways down the road. I just got an update on 6 South River Street, formerly known as the Riv. KAS is our continued environmental services study, Jeremy Roberts. They've completed a draft work plan, so the fancy name is Evaluation of Corrective Action Alternatives. That's got to be reviewed by the State of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. So the timeline, the official work plan, after the rough draft is reviewed, should be submitted and ready to go by January 1st. DEC will have hopefully their completed review by March 1st, and then we should have a definitive corrective action plan that we can start as soon after that as soon as possible. And we'll remediate whatever is required. Could be nothing, could be fairly significant. And then we'll have a plan in place that says if we do all of that, we'll have a certificate of completion. At the same time, we can start the request for proposal process, send that out, advertise that, get interested folks. The trustees can decide which avenue they want to go, sell the property at some point next year, not 2025. Let's get this done in 2024. That's the goal.
You stole my thunder.
Sorry,
I thought we'd be done with it 2 years ago.
that would have been nice.
Yes, it would have.
Moving over to hydro, so the annual plant shutdown for the week was last week. We put some details on the Facebook page. It passed. There was no significant issues. A large amount of annual maintenance was done. Every unit's back up and running except unit 4, and that should be good to go by tomorrow. We're not producing enough to need unit 4 right now anyway, so we have time. We just got back the annual FERC dam safety inspection report. We passed, which means you receive a rating of generally satisfactory. That's good.
Yep.
So, couple of points, they want us to continue removing brush and vegetation 15 feet beyond all man-made material. So hopefully that will, that's easy to take care of. The only other thing that they brought to our attention, and of course we're aware, in the flood, the cable snapped.
Oh, yeah.
And they said they want us to post warnings at the upstream canoe portage access. So we will do that by noon tomorrow. We just got the letter today, and then we're good to go.
Good.
We're not gonna put it back in the water. We just got the cable last week. We pull it out November 1st. It really just doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make much sense.
Right.
Good.
Vermont Gas Systems has informed us that they're gonna be conducting a inspection of a gas line on the Depot Street Bridge that goes and extends to Merchants Row on either October 19th or 20th, and that will cause considerable traffic issues. They have a comprehensive work plan that they sent to us. We'll be able to share that and post that on our website, our social media, but they're very good at what they do. It is a detailed map of exactly what's gonna happen, and They just don't have the nailed down date and exact times, and as soon as they do, they'll let us know. So
Interesting.
we'll post that.
I wonder if they should be informed off in the next few years when we replace the bridge. What do they wanna do?
They're in the loop.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in the loop. They're
Long
part of
as
the, they're part of the questionnaire. We
Okay.
completed that. They are well aware. They've already communicated, the state of Vermont has already communicated with Vermont Gas related to that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just to protect them.
Myself and Lynn are gonna spend the next 2 days, at the 2-day workshop style training, Vermont League of Cities and Towns, Vermont Town Fair, so hopefully we'll, get some knowledge from other, administrators and officials, and there's hundreds of people that go to this. It's rather large, so.
Is this 2 or 3 days or so?
2 days.
And you're gonna
Where's
travel
that?
down and back every day?
We're gonna travel back, we'll leave here at 7 AM and we'll be back here by 4, cause tomorrow night we have a public meeting here for the select board for, at 6:30 as a reminder. To save me jumping ahead, at 6:30 for the Swanton Rec discussion.
Yep.
So yeah, 2 days down there. We had a meeting, myself and Heidi Bridge Valenta on September 21st with VHB, as you recall. They are our engineer of choice for the downtown design, so we had our kickoff meeting. Everything went great. I'll go through this real quick. We talked about, the initial study showed we need about 1.5 million. We know we have 300,000 plus our $75,000 match, which we're using ARPA funds for. So there are a finite amount of things that you can do for $375,000. So I'm just gonna read them real quickly. Installation of an all-way stop and pedestrian safety improvements at First Street and Grand Avenue intersection. I'll synopsize. Shortening of some crosswalks, relocation of the sidewalk at Merchants Row with accessibility improvements, in particular, the south side towards 74 parking lot, no handicap accessibility whatsoever.
Oh, yeah,
So you literally have to come all the way around to the little alleyway
yeah,
to access anything on that left side,
yeah, that's right.
which is candidly unacceptable. So we'll fix that. A lot of RFBs, beacons, rapid flashing beacons, and safety improvements. So now the timeline. We will use probably November, December to start doing some outreach to the business owners. There's been some turnover, so there's some new folks that don't really know. And we have to have public forums just to educate folks that we're doing this, and here's the scope, not to start over again. The scope has been identified. That's what the $27,500 study was for. So here's the process, unfortunately. You lock in the scope of work, you identify dates for a walkthrough, you identify contractors who might be willing to bid, extensive RFP selection process. Contractors identify permitting, and they'll be ready to go for construction in, you guessed it, the spring of 2025. So it's gonna take a year to get to the point where we do all of that and put a shovel in the ground. Well, shovel won't go in the ground there, but you know what I'm talking about.
Whatever.
Everything takes time, for sure. I'm gonna send you all this, I already got it actually. And lastly, that same VHB they're gonna request to come in. They're also the design engineer for the exit 21 situation, so they've appeared in front of the select board and outlined what that looks like. They wanna come here, so we've put them on the agenda for next week. So they will be here on October 2nd, 7 PM to present to us what we need to know about exit 21 and the construction there and the off-ramp and the widening and the timeline.
Is there opportunity for,
Suggestions?
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Or
traffic
is
light.
this simply an FYI?
I think that there's probably a limited ability for feedback. I don't know that they have a lot of choice in what they can do for improvement.
Okay.
I think it's definitely traffic light, traffic engineering, widening,
Mhm.
dedicated left, dedicated right turn lanes.
I think the traffic light is something we've discussed before. And if that's part of it, that's great.
Don't quote me on that.
I won't.
She'll talk, Karen Sentoff will come in and present, or I'm not sure if she's online or in person, but, very, very talented in that area, so she'll fill us in on what's going on.
It's quite interesting. I think Adam brought this up maybe 3-4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. There's big lines of
Yeah.
traffic backed up on the interstate at certain times of the day.
Yep, for sure.
Sometimes,
Yep.
sometimes I get off in St. Albans, drive up for 7.
There's days where that's at least safer, for sure.
That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
My goodness, I was anticipating an hour or 2.
Once in a while, I can't be like that, or it's gonna get old.
I understand.
An old thought of mine, but I still think it's pertinent to the downtown update. We need to make a way for people to deposit mail from their cars. That section of road right in front of the post office.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that people have to get out to put mail in a mailbox, either side of the road. My suggestion is, and after talking to the postmaster, they don't wanna add an extra mailbox, but the mailbox that's over now on Merchants Row
Mhm.
is very, according to him, is very little use. So, because of there's an issue with the mail carriers, labor deal, they can only do so many mailboxes in certain places. Perhaps that mailbox could be removed and a new one with a scope on it could be put over on Academy Street, perhaps right in the, water basin,
Mhm.
so that you can drive up
Yep.
and from the driver's side door, cause that is a one-way piece in there to deposit mail. That would help, I think, the traffic right in front of, the post office, where the trucks and everything else is an issue.
Yeah, we can certainly explore that, and that's part of it. They're gonna incorporate traffic engineering to the point where I believe when you're coming up from Depot Street Bridge, it's gonna be either no way blocked off, or more likely one way on the backside of the park, all the way to the town offices. And if we're really downstream thinking 3 to 4 years out, we're gonna have an additional 15 or so parking spaces with a level 3 charger on the 74 Merchants Row where we own now. We have to identify funding, we don't have any funding. But we anticipate, again, next iteration of this project, angled parking on the sidewalk side on the back of the park. You can't put it on the other side just because of the way that the pavement it's just too much. And if you ever did and somebody parked there, they would be getting out in any rainstorm and they literally might be swept away.
Right.
So-
So that's another, if that's a one-way street, that's another place where a little dip could be put in,
Sure.
in a left-hand mailbox. Could be placed there as a way to deposit mail directly from
It could be directly across the park where they are now.
Yeah, directly across the park.
They could be.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yep.
Really.
Yeah, that's,
I'm telling you, I've been almost hit there, I don't know how many times.
yeah, we can certainly
I
explore
keep
that.
forgetting, the excuse that the post office gives is the fact that because they want you to leave your mail at your mailbox at home, the stuff you want, outgoing mail, the postman is supposed to pick up the mail from your mailbox and take it back to the post office.
If you
They
want,
think,
they'll do
yeah,
that.
if you wanna do
They
that,
will do it.
that's supposed to be your option.
Right.
And that's why they're not
Yeah.
so
Our mail
gung
carrier-
ho for being able to deposit from your automobile.
Several times in the past, our mail carrier has told me that. He says, you don't have to go downtown, leave it right here, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
But the traffic, to alleviate traffic downtown, if we were ever one way the entire way, angled parking, new parking at 74 Merchants Row, we'd add 55 to 60 spaces.
Yeah,
You'd no longer hear those issues about that parking downtown. It would improve things significantly.
very good. Number 13, any other business?
Yes, sir. Two things. One, Saturday, October 28th, the Swanton Chamber will host their Halloween in the Park. I think it's 4 to 7. It could be 5 to 7. I am not quite sure of the times, but I'm pretty sure it's October 28th. It's written down on the Post-it note on my desk at home.
It'll be a Saturday, right?
Yes, the Saturday before Halloween.
Right.
So if we could get permission to use the park that afternoon, evening, that would be awesome.
I'll make a motion that we do so, right to the commission.
Thank you.
You can second it.
I'll second it.
It's done.
We have a motion on the floor to allow the use of the park for the
Halloween?
Halloween festivities.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And the other one is Christmas in the Park coming up. Hard to believe.
Oh, yeah.
We do not have a firm date. It's either gonna be one of the 3 Saturdays after Thanksgiving, we're not sure yet. I'll find out more on the 15th at the next chamber meeting, what the date's gonna be. So it's gonna be one of those 3 Saturdays. And that usually goes from 3 to 6, 2 to 5, somewhere in there. So. Again, it's on the Post-it note at home. So,
That it, Adam? Yep.
that's it.
Eugene, do you have anything?
Nothing for tonight, thank you.
Matt, do you have anything extra? No. Village?
All set.
Do we need?
I only have one quick thing. If Diane could give us our website again, is it Vermont Swanton.org?
SwantonVT.gov.
Say again?
SwantonVT.gov.
Uppercase, lowercase, doesn't
Doesn't
matter?
Doesn't matter.
One more time.
SwantonVT.gov.
Gotcha.
Just as long as everybody can hear it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an impressive site. Be sure and check it out. And there is a lot of great
There
information
is.
taking you to every
Yep.
Yeah.
every
That
aspect
is.
of the town.
That's what it says.
I added all that hydro stuff today. It looks good.
And I, again, personal thing, I will not be running again for the trustees in March. So if there's people out there that are perhaps interested in this position, you should be thinking about it and contacting us and coming to meetings and seeing what you're up against. So, we do have a notice for an executive session to discuss personnel, customer accounts, and real estate. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're
Yes.
in executive session.
Yes.